what they didn't take away any of your rights. What they took away was your certainty. And this is exactly where we are right now. We are in a time of high uncertainty. And we need to learn how to live with this uncertainty. And that's exactly what we're going to be dealing on this mental health episode on the Toilet Paper Diaries.
All right, first thing I want to do is point out that through today's show, it's all about getting you to understand what you can do to have a better existence right now. But what we did in the previous show is to help you understand that the concept of success, making money, flash cars, being loved by everybody, I mean, it's a very Western, I think, image, is not of any use to you right now. We have to redefine that. And that's at the heart of what we're going to be sharing with you with the techniques today. First thing we're going to do is tell you what do you need to be able to survive. What are the most essential things? Now, Abraham Maslow, you may have heard of Maslow and his pyramid. He created a diagram of a hierarchy of needs to show exactly what the human essentials are and what we can create from our own behavior to be able to move forward. To illustrate everything I'm going to share with the show, if you only watch one element, this should be the one.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a theory in psychology. It argues that there are 5 stages of human needs that motivate our behavior. Abraham Maslow proposed his theory in 1943 after studying what he called exemplary people, such as Albert Einstein or Eleanor Roosevelt. First, there are physiological needs, such as the need to breathe, eat, drink, or sleep. The moment we get enough of that and we feel awake and our bellies are full, we get motivated by the next thing. Now we want safety. We try to earn money, build up resources, and look for shelter that protects us against dangers. Once we are satisfied and feel safe, we have time to think about what we want next. At stage 3, we seek love and belonging. We desire to be close to family and friends, belong to a society, or join a gang. But the moment we feel completely part of a group, we already wish to be a little different than the rest. At stage 4, we look for esteem, self-confidence, and respect from our peers. We want to be someone. If we have money, we buy a fancy watch. If we have a brain, we write or think or work a lot. Motivation to perform and compete is now at its highest. Students, sportsmen, and inventors excel. Neil Armstrong even flew to the moon. Only if we breathe and drink and eat and sleep enough, and we feel safe and part of a group and still special, only then can we reach level 5, self-actualization. Now we can relax, be creative, accept facts for what they are, give back or do whatever we want. No more pressure, unless of course there is trouble below. If you are a leader and believe in the theory, use it. First, make sure everyone has eaten well. Then make them feel safe and help them belong to a group. Once they feel they belong, they are ready to stand out and excel.
If you look at what we're talking about there, let's put that into real perspective. In a summary, you've got this triangle that traditionally for many decades has been what people perceive to be what you need to have. And that triangle is not working anymore. So first of all, we don't know if we're going to be safe. We don't know who to trust, even breathing without getting infected. Our families, which only happen around about stage 3, you can build a family, they're all in danger. The authorities don't seem to know what they're doing. And then it seems like a big sort of religious plague for many people that's sent to punish us, or at least that's what many spiritual leaders will be saying. So that's why so many people find it difficult, because what we normally have as levels building up has kind of disintegrated. Ernesto, you've been teaching Maslow's pyramid for many, many years to lots of different groups all around the world. It's the first time I've ever seen it where it doesn't apply anymore.
We are in a moment of high uncertainty, and what's going to happen is going to be models are going to be invented, because of course this psychology has only been applicable for regular times. You were mentioning something a little bit earlier that I thought it was actually very interesting. Right now, if we project ourselves into the future, and we see, for example, movies that were thinking of what was going to happen into the future, they were not considering the pandemic. They were not, because of course nothing was happening there. So once again, I mean, trying to put everything into understanding and into perspective, it's just very hard for everybody to know where we are, even ourselves. I mean, this for us has been a matter of trying to understand where we are and trying to help other people understand where we are. So yeah, it's amazing that Maslow's hierarchy doesn't apply anymore.
It doesn't. And it also makes me think about the role that we take. And anybody who's decided to make a web TV show, or we're doing a podcast, or this sharing, I mean, those guys would have been seen as oracles or soothsayers. Take us back a couple of 100 years ago. They'd be the guys that would have a group around them sitting on a mountainside and saying, right, let me tell you how the world should be. That's kind of a role that many of us have taken now. And we're making it up as we go along. We have no idea. All we can say is we're getting a natural trajectory from where we started, moving along, and we can see just by looking behind us the direction that it might be going in. But all the time, there's new twists and turns out of our hands that just change the game. But that's why we create the show, to help you go along and find as many ways as possible. Now, if you start a watch party, or you share, or you like this show, it means more people get to know about it. And today's show is really essential, because the brand new you is all about being able to reinvent yourself and cope with the challenges of lockdown, pandemic, quarantine, and the mental health worries that people are going to have. So with that, I mean, question. Sorry, you're going to say something?
If you're watching right now, we would like to ask you, how long is your guesstimation that we will continue like this? I mean, mine is 24 to 36 months. How about you, Dave?
I hate to say it, but according to the World Health Organization, they said 4 to 5 years before we see a world without this. I know I was watching Nas Daily. He was saying the fact that it's going to be with us 100 years and some impact. I don't think he's wrong. There will be a lot of things that are going to be different that will never snap back. And it seems so innocent to go up and shake somebody's hand or give a person a hug because you've not seen them for a while, because you just assume that they wouldn't give you anything. The worst they give you is a cold. But now the idea of hugging or coming near anybody really freaks me out. And I'm very lucky to be in with my family and chatting to Ernesto and hopefully yourselves watching at home. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, here's a question for you. Are you sick of being inside? I mean, are you really scared of going outside? Because the thing is, you're not alone. There are billions of people feeling the same way.
We're getting some comments here. Frank, okay. Hi, Frank. He's telling us 18 to 24 months. Wow. We're getting also here estimate 2 to 3 years, depending on whether we get a vaccine or a vaccination or not. Yeah, absolutely. And what you were talking about, Nas Daily, tomorrow we're going to be showing actually that video of Nas Daily, because he says the impact of this is going to be 100 years, even though if the virus goes away. So, I mean, regardless of what happens, we will never go back to where we were previously. We're getting some more comments. However, we can pivot and embrace new business models. Yeah, it's absolutely. It is completely up to us to instead of dwelling in what we have lost or whatever, we have to pivot and we have to say things in a complete different way. I saw a very nice quote the other day that said, instead of crying because of what has happened, smiled because it happened. I mean, just think of whatever the future was and embrace it as a memory. And it's just nice to just see the world in a completely different way.
Absolutely. The worst things that happen to you are the best things that happen to you, as long as you've survived it, because it teaches you so much, and also teaches you to make sure it never happens to you again. We were lucky, very lucky in the fact that we realized there was a problem. We got into lockdown, and okay, we're in some kind of incubator of mental health, but that's not an incubator of our own health. you want to get fit, you can get fit. You want to order in food, you can. If you want to make money, you can still do that, even though there's a lot of work. And that's what Fast Forward is going to be all about tomorrow. But we're in a position where it could be a lot worse. Even if you're in a country that's going bonkers right now, it could be a lot worse. The fact you've got access to the internet, which you wouldn't have if you weren't watching this, and that you've got the ability to pay your bills to allow yourself electricity, it could be a lot worse than it is right now. But we'd love to know your thoughts, and also, of course, how long you think it's going to be before it all goes. Now, here's the thing. When we did the show on Monday, as you probably know, I'm a hypnotist, hypnotherapist, and I do stage hypnosis shows. We showed a clip of me on stage with a load of people in hypnosis and 2 people who were acting like the world's greatest boxers. And it was very funny, and it's done for laughs and so on, but they were completely into it. And the key to this is when you resolve yourself to be in a certain world, then suddenly that world becomes everything. When I drop somebody into a hypnotic trance and I told me instructions of their world, you are the world's #1 boxer, everybody's here to see you fight, do shadow boxing, but don't hurt anybody, then I'll ask you questions about being that boxer, then they will do it exactly that. So therefore, what we've got is a real challenge here, which is the world we're in right now is the world that we set up beforehand, but we didn't set it up to be like this. So you have to create a different environment to be able to be effective now. Now, here's the thing. You can persuade people and you can persuade yourself to feel different in a world that's the same world, but you have to have a different spin on it. So we show a guy called Viktor Frankl. And Viktor Frankl is an incredible human being, or he was. He passed away about 2 decades ago. And this gentleman I'll read this out for you. Everything can be taken away from you, but the one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Now that might make no sense to you at all until I explain who Viktor Frankl was. In fact, Ernesto, do you want to tell everybody who Viktor Frankl was?
Yeah, absolutely. He was in a concentration camp, and basically he wrote down all these. He wrote a book that is called Man's Search for Meaning, which I think it's one of the most impactful books that I ever read in my life. And he tells the story of how everybody being on the concentration camp, how they were thinking and what was going on in their mind. The teachings of Man's Search for Meaning can help you tremendously improve your condition in this situation. It is, I recommend you to read it. A lot of generations and a lot of people have gone through a lot worse than we have. They have taken away everything. And once again, as long as you have that meaning, as long as you can create that new meaning in your life, doesn't matter what the circumstances, you're going to do a lot better. So definitely, we recommend you to read Man's Search for Meaning from Viktor Frankl. 3
main takeaways from that book that I want to share with you, but as Ernesto said, reading the book will change your life and perspective anyway. I'm not sure how much will make you happier right now, but it's something that will really help you grasp what's going on. There are 3 types of things that helped people survive being stuck in Nazi Holocaust extermination camps. First of all, they survived if they were super, super angry and they wanted to be around to make sure they could get revenge on their captors. Because one day there would be judgment, and one day they would be in front of a court, and one day they'd be able to sell give their story to make sure that justice was done. That's the first one. Second one, they had loved ones that they wanted to see. He wanted to survive to make sure that at the end of it, they could still be reunited with the people that they love, their friends, their family. And so regardless of what happened around them, they kept pushing and they never stopped, because it's in here that they had the battle. And the third one was exactly about that. They were able to create a reality that was different from a reality around them. So when people are being dehumanized, when people are being killed around you, when you get treated like you are absolute dust, and all the things that they were going through, they would recreate a world that they could actually be the king or queen of, where they actually had some control and they had some respect. And even if that respect was only inside your own head and it's not what's physically being done to you, it's enough to get you through. That's very important, because they were the only people that managed to survive through the Holocaust. Now, what I want to share with you now is this in action. We're going to go back to a movie that won an Oscar for Roberto Benigni. who's an Italian who went through. It's a comedy all about being stuck in a Nazi prison camp with his son, and the way that he survived it, or the way that his son survived it, was he painted it out to be like a holiday, and all the terrible things happening around him were all part of the game. Now, you've seen this movie as well, Ernesto. What are your thoughts on it before we show the clip?
Well, that's another of the movies that I think you definitely should be watching a lot more than The Tiger King. This is a movie that it will definitely help you understand exactly how you can change your mentality. Roberto Benigni had an amazing idea. It's an Italian movie. It will be dubbed in English. But the idea of going to a concentration camp with your son and trying to protect your son's view of what was going on, because instead of actually, making the kid completely worried about what was happening, he was just trying to make sure that the kid was protected from all the terrible things that they were going along. So he goes under incredible measures to make sure that the kid just doesn't see the cruelty in which the concentration camp is working on. So this scene you're gonna absolutely love if you haven't watched the movie. They just arrived into the concentration camp, and he's basically taking control over the entire camp by giving the instructions of how everything works. Have a look.
What did he say? He wants somebody who speaks their language. He's going to explain the camp rules. You speak German? No. Alles hören, ich sage das nur einmal. The game starts now. If you're here, you're in. If not, you're out. Ihr seid nur aus einem einzigen Grund in dieses Lager transportiert worden? You have to score 1,000 points to win. If you do that, you take home a tank. Zu arbeiten. Lucky dog. Jeder Versuch der Sabotage wird mit dem sofortigen Tode bestraft. Die Hinrichtungen finden auf dem Hof durch Schüsse in den Rücken statt. Each day we will be announcing who's in the lead from the loudspeaker there. The one with the least points has to wear a big sign each day that spells the word Jackass right on his back. Ihr habt die Ehre, für unser großes deutsches Vaterland arbeiten zu dürfen und am Bau des Großdeutschen Reiches teilzunehmen. We get to play the part of the nasty guys who yell all the time. Anybody who's afraid loses points. 3 Grundregeln solltet ihr nie vergessen. Erstens, versuche nicht zu fliehen. Zweitens, folge jedem Befehl ohne Fragen. Drittens, jeder Versuch eines Aufstandes wird mit dem Tod durch Erhängen bestraft. Ist das klar? There's 3 ways a person can lose his points. They would be as follows. 1, turning into a big crybaby. 2, telling everyone you want to see your mama. 3, if you're hungry and want us to bring you something to eat, forget about it. Ihr solltet glücklich sein, hier arbeiten zu dürfen. Es wird niemandem etwas geschehen, der die Vorschriften befolgt. It's very easy to lose points here for being hungry. Just yesterday I was penalized 40 points because I was so hungry that I had to have a jam sandwich. Gehorsamkeit ist alles. Apricot jam. Und noch etwas. He wanted strawberry. Bei diesem Pfiff. Alles raus auf den Hof, aber schnell. And don't ever ask for any lollipops because you won't get any. We eat them all. Antreten in Zweierreihe. I ate 20 of them yesterday. Schwein. What a tummy ache. Jeden Morgen. But they were good. Ist Appell. You bet. So, das wollte ich euch noch sagen. Dort hinten werdet ihr arbeiten. Ihr werdet die Dimensionen des Lagers leicht begreifen. I'm sorry I have to leave, but I'm playing hide and seek and I have to go before I get caught. Hey, what's going on? No, don't ask me anything. I don't speak German. Ask Bartolomeo. Don't forget to tell me what he said, too.
Changing the world around you is something that's very powerful. Now, you and I have been friends for over 20 years, Ernesto. You've seen me changing the game all the time. Whenever we go out, whenever we face somebody who's a little bit too serious, I will say whatever I need to say to just change the mood into one that we can actually deal with better. And it's just natural. Yeah. You and I so many times end up giggling when people are being serious, not because we don't respect them, it's just because we don't want to play that particular game. And so it's important to understand how your mind works, which is what that clip exactly shares with you. Now, choosing your attitude is really important. Emotional intelligence is not about keeping a stiff upper lip as being British we're used to doing. I mean, the question is, and I'll throw this at you, Ernesto, do you know why the British soldiers used to wear red jackets when they went into battle?
No.
Because when they got shot, you couldn't see the blood. So when the army's coming towards you and you're shooting and they're not dropping because you can't see them bleed, you think they're invincible. So what that means is there's nothing wrong with feeling the pain. It's just deciding what you're going to use that energy to actually be. You can feel despair. You can have terrible times. I mean, it's like, for instance, in sales, if you work really, really hard on a customer and you give them everything and they turn around and say, you know what, we're going to go with somebody else. We're going to leave it for a while. Then the key to be successful is to go next and move on. Don't dwell on it, feel the pain and move on. That's it. And concentrate on what's coming next. So that means after all this time, what we're saying is it's time to change the game. It's time to learn how your brain works and hijack and upgrade all the elements that are making you feel lonely or sad or useless, or you've lost your job, you feel like nobody cares about you. And so that ability to do it is something that Ernesto and I have done all the way through this show, all the many episodes. I can't even tell you how many episodes. Oh, this is episode number 60. How do you manage to hack your brain to get you to come on the show every day? Because you've got family, you've got bonkers people around you, you've got the mask issue. What brings you into the show every day?
Well, once again, for me, I am seeing this as an explorer. We are exploring new territories. I completely turn myself, instead of being the worried victim or the worried person, I am seeing, well, you know what? I am the leader. I am the one that has to point the way. I am the one that has to figure out the way. And there's a lot of people that depend on me. There's a lot of people that right now are going to be watching this show, and I know that I will be able to help them. And I position myself into that specific mode of leadership, and I start going into the direction that I know that I need to go. Now, do I know where I'm going? Do I know what I'm doing? The answer is absolutely no. I have no clue. Exactly the same way as you're saying, I have no clue what's going to be happening. But by simply putting some things together and trying to make sense of using my past, my present, and my future in my timeline in my brain, I like to help people in all those ways. And that, for me, that's the hypnosis, self-hypnosis that I get inside of myself to be able to keep on doing this. Now, am I that strong all the time? The answer is no. I mean, I am also vulnerable, and I have also sometimes which I also go down. But just the fact that I know that I can change my mind in a heartbeat by simply changing my state of mind, by changing the way that I perceive things, is always very helpful for me to change the circumstances and the situation. We're getting some nice messages here, Brenda. We love, Brenda, that you're such a faithful watcher of the Toilet Paper Diaries. She's saying, when this started, I made the choice to see it as a grand adventure, and I see a whole new world of possibilities. Yeah, it's the same thing. The same thing with us. I mean, we have a window of opportunity that needs to be taken right now. I mean, if we start positioning ourselves, and you have really a lot of great ideas here. I mean, you need to reinvent yourself, start building your brand, your virtual brand. That's also super important. I mean, you start doing a number of different things for proper positioning, because, I mean, whether we want it or not, we still have a long way to go.
But I want to tell you a story about Tom Hanks, not just that I love him for all the reasons that you should love Tom Hanks, but when they were making the movie Saving Private Ryan with Matt Damon, actually Vin Diesel was in that movie as well, what they did was they put Matt Damon into a 5-star hotel, and they put the rest of the actors into an actual army boot camp where they had to do all their own beds and sleep in mud and everything. And that was why they actually hated Matt Damon for lots of reasons, because they knew he was not in this with them. So all they're doing, all the actors are going through, they're getting shouted at by all the sergeants, they're getting made to carry all their backpacks in the rain and everything. And one by one, they're saying, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm gonna resign, I'm gonna leave, I don't want to be in this project. Tom Hanks got them all together. I said, guys, I know how you feel about this. He said, I've been in the movies a lot longer than you, and I've never experienced this before. Trust me, stick with it. Something very special will come of this. I know you don't like it, but this is not the end game. This is part of your build-up towards it. So stay with it. Now, if you've seen Saving Private Ryan, it's one of the most amazing movies, and you really do feel that that band of that brotherhood amongst all the actors was genuine. And that was because of the way they set it up. That's why they hated Matt Damon when they met him, because they knew that he was staying in a 5-star hotel. Did you know that story, Ernesto?
Yeah, I knew that story, but I mean, it's a great metaphor to explain the situation.
So right now, you have this adventure, as Brenda says. You have the opportunity to say, I can hate it, I can give up, or I can just go, you know what? I'm still breathing. That's the bottom line. I've got to work out how to keep things going. And every time you do it, you just keep doing it. So you don't have to run a marathon. You just have to put one foot in front of the other and repeat, and you'll get to whatever a marathon is, 26 miles. With this, you just have to go day by day. And at the end of it, you'll hear that we've got a way of dealing with it, and then you can come out. That's all we have to do, day by day. So to make that whole experience easier, we've got a couple of things that you should make a note of. So if you've got a pen and paper, write this down. If not, you can watch the replay and make sure you share this with people, because they will need to know. A couple of key skills. First of all, learn a skill. Use the opportunity to do something with all this time. You don't have to sit there and say, right, it's all terrible. You can create your brand, as Ernesto said, and reinvent yourself. But I mean, let's talk about creating a side hustle. This whole show has been about making a side hustle, an extra job just in case. Well, that just in case is now. Do exercise, start cooking, connect with people, work towards making the world a better place. Now, here's the thing. Once you've got a routine, you can repeat it daily and reinvent yourself. And one of the key things is share your emotions with somebody you trust and look to make the world a better place through something, charity, something that's bigger and higher than you, some higher power that's more important than who you are. That's why, ultimately, when you look at somebody who wins a gold in the Olympics, I mean, they thank God. Why do they thank God? Well, because they had to believe in something bigger than them during all the horrible training sessions. They had to believe that they had the ability. And it's really hard to do that, thinking about yourself and your own reality. So here's the thing that works on myself and Ernesto. Bear in mind, we've been honest in front of you guys about how we feel every single day. And we had something bigger to do, which is to create a show where we can help the world be able to deal with coronavirus. That's kept us going. True?
Yeah, absolutely. There's also something very important that for me has been very critical. It reminds me of the movie that we just showed you about the concentration camp and the little kid. Right now, we are the role model for our kids. Our kids are going to, first of all, look at how we are responding before they could also respond. I mean, if you think that for you it's tough, imagine how tough it is for the kids. I mean, the kids don't express that much their feelings. They were taken out of their own little world, and that, of course, is affecting them tremendously. So if they see that you are positive, that you are reinventing yourself, that you are learning a skill, that you are possibly trying to do something else, taking exercises, that you're connecting with others, that you're embracing the situation instead of actually complaining, you're going to do them a big, big favor, because, of course, you're going to say, you know what, I have that hope. I know that I can make it happen. Now, if you insist on being on the negative side and just simply, instead of accepting the fact of how things are going and not doing anything, you are also going to be affecting them. I know how impactful my way of thinking is towards my kids. My kids every day ask me, so Dad, what do you think is going to happen? So Dad, what do you think is going to happen? And I said, well, I do not know what's going to happen, but whatever happens, we're going to go through it, and we're going to make it happen, and we're going to change whatever it requires to change. And I keep on trying to keep them encouraged, because that's incredibly important. That's one of those roles that we really need to take. So if you have kids, you have to make sure that you really embrace what's going on, so that you can actually help them go through this also positive.
How do we move forward as a society past this? What can we do that's going to make us all come together faster? Because we need to break down barriers. Black Lives Matter is no accident. The fact it's happening right now is no accident. We need to use empathy. We have to care about each other more. And some people find it easier to do than others. When you and I, Ernesto, we've been friends forever, and we are a really odd couple in the fact that we're both ethnic minorities, and we couldn't give a monkeys if people don't like us either. And we just go out, we just do what we do. And we found we're connected with friends all around the world who just like us being us. And we travel all around the world doing that as well.
Yeah, that is correct.
So what we want to do is share with you the idea of how easy it is to misjudge. Prejudice, and the reason I bring this up is not just because the world's a difficult place right now, and not even for the Black Lives Matter thing, but you need to be able to connect with people that you might have found difficult to deal with. And this is a way to help you do it. Prejudice is about misjudging people, prejudging who they are. And when you do that, you miss out the opportunity to connect with some incredible people. Now, Carlsberg beer, which I've got to admit, I haven't drunk one of them for ages, but now I'm thinking about it, maybe I should, had a series of adverts all about rewarding people who thought differently about others and broke the mold. Watch this video and it'll make you smile.
Love it. For those of you which are listening to us right now on a podcast, and obviously there was no talk in the video. Let me just explain to you what happened. There's this cinema, and there's all these bikers and really threatening-looking people, and there's only two seats which are in the middle of the cinema, and all the people wanted to see if who was going to sit there. And then you see a couple of people just getting very scared, and just the ones that actually sit there, they were rewarded with a big applause and a beer. So that's just in a nutshell what happens. Great example of how you can just be prejudiced and not do things correctly. And right now, I think it's completely true. I mean, you need to deal with people in many ways. Even we were talking a little bit earlier on with the Karens and the, I think they're called Kens or Kevins, the male version of them. And every single person in the world, whether you like them or not, they are dealing with the same situation in different ways. And we need to be open enough to understand them. I've been doing something which is quite interesting in social media. And this is one of the things that has also helped me go through. I mean, I see that there's always a lot, especially with the situation with the masks and the unmasks. All those people that say, well, I really want to wear my I don't really want to wear my mask because that goes against my constitutional rights and whatever. Instead of actually trying to bash them and instead of trying to defend and impose my point, I start asking questions. I start basically showing empathy, showing love and consideration, and helping them understand that there's a different point of view and they should not be so focused into one thing. And what has happened is I have been able to break several of them into accepting the fact that they have taken their expressions too seriously in social media, which is exactly what we were saying. We are doing the same thing as this guy was doing with the kid in the concentration camp.
Absolutely, and it's great that you're doing that, because our lizard brains, the part of us that makes us survive, is used to saying, stick with what you know, because that's the best way to be able to go forward. But you can't stick with what you know, because what you know isn't working for us. You have to be open to new ways of doing stuff, new people who can help. But success does leave clues, and that's what you have to watch out for. As always, make sure if you like this stuff, we'd love to hear your comments. Had some great messages coming through from Frank and from Brenda as well. We'd love to hear from all of you. With a great quote from Frank from Jim Rome, saying the things to change, you need to change, and the things to get better, you need to get better as well. There's the quote from Frank and Jim Rome, which is so true. If you stay where you are, you can't expect things to get any different than what you actually have when you start off with. And we went into lockdown with a certain set of rules that clearly do not fit this world anymore. So here's a question for you. How far would you go if you were pushed with your old set of rules to do something that's against what you think is morally right? We're going to take a couple of experiments now and share with you how the mindset can be really altered by watching media, by getting people pushing you, by just different threats and surrounding influences. To do that, we're going to share with you an experiment conducted in 1963 by a guy called Stanley Milgram, who's a Yale professor of psychology. And he wanted to see what happens to people when they're put under duress. And when good people, as I believe most people are, can become very bad when you tell them to be bad. Have a look at this. You won't believe what's going to happen next.
A decade earlier, psychologist Stanley Milgram had also looked at how we respond to authority. In order to understand how people were induced to obey unjust regimes and participate in atrocities such as the Holocaust, he set up an experiment. Volunteers were told they were taking part in scientific research to improve memory.
Would you open those and tell me which of you is which, please? Teacher. Where? Teacher.
Separated by a screen, the teacher would ask the learner questions in a word game and administer an electric shock when the answer was incorrect. He was told to increase the voltage with each wrong answer.
Cloud, horse, rock, house. Answer. Wrong. 150 volts. Answer, horse.
Oh. Experiment, that's all. Get me out of here. Get me out of here, please.
Continue, please. Go right on.
I refuse to go on. Let me out.
You refuse to go on? The experiment requires you continue, teacher. Please continue.
Participants didn't know that the learner was really an actor and the so-called shocks harmless.
You're going to get a shock. 180 volts.
Oh. I can't stand the pain. Let me out of
You
here.
can't stand it. I'm not going to kill that man, eh? I mean, who's going to take the responsibility if anything happens to that gentleman? I'm responsible for anything that happens here. Continue, please. All right, next one. Slow. Walk, dance, truck, music.
Two-thirds of volunteers were prepared to administer a potentially fatal electric shock when encouraged to do so by what they perceived as a legitimate authority figure. In this case, a man in a white coat.
375 volts. I think something's happened to that fellow in there. I don't get no answer. He was hollering a less voltage. Can't you check in and see if he's all right, please?
Milgram's findings horrified America. They showed that decent American citizens were as capable of committing acts against their conscience as the Germans had been under the Nazis.
So there we are. That's an example about what can happen when it all goes wrong. And a lot of the issues that we're finding around the world are based on the conditioning of people in authority saying you should do things a certain way. And other people saying, well, you were in authority, so therefore it must be true. This is the best time ever to go, hold on, if I want to survive, what do I think I should be doing? Ernesto, that's kind of scary because 2/3 of people were happy to keep pressing the button even though they knew the button was wrong and it was hurting somebody and they shouldn't have been doing it. But when they were encouraged to do it, they did it. Does that remind you about the masks in any way, shape, or form?
Oh, big time.
I mean,
But you know, it's very funny. I mean, I was just checking here on on my feed, and one of the things that I think is very interesting. One of the persons that was incredibly negative about the whole situation and the mask and whatever. Right now, she says, "Well, you know, I decided right now to start doing more positive posts because I know that that's going to be better for my mental health." And this is something that I mean, it was one person, and I think for me that already made it. If this show can help another person or another person, I think is just absolutely critical, and this is why we're doing it. So once again, I mean, help us spread this message. Please make sure to share. Please make sure to subscribe. Please make sure to start a watch party if you're right now in Facebook, because for me right now it's not creating that consciousness or anything like that. More than anything, is help people get more certainty through positive reinforcement than from negative reinforcement, as we were seeing on this video. We're running out of time. I think it's just important to remind you that tomorrow we are going to go in depth, and we're going to give you. Right now, you've seen some of the changes that need to happen, and tomorrow we're going to go into several of the strategies, specifically how to build them. I am really looking forward for tomorrow that you're going to be talking about hypnosis. I mean, and how it is done and how the whole thing goes. I'm going to be talking about the 7 levels of consciousness and how you can get to understand where people are. Because I think that's just an incredible thing. We have a few more things which are going to be helping you also in your business, because I think we also need to help that, because of course bringing bread to the table, it's incredibly important. So make sure to go there to facebook.com/groups/fast-forward-show, as we're going to be having a very good event, it's going to be an event, a very good training tomorrow. Now, if you're watching this on Facebook, go just there, because that's where you can find all the library of different videos where we have been sharing incredible information. Dave, we have, I think, one more experiment, and then possibly you can show them your amazing video so that we can end the show.
Yeah, perfect. So the question for you is, how can you deal with uncertainty? We're going to show you something that is going to be so powerful about how you can get through this, because you'll see how little kids have got through this with a thing called the Marshmallow Test. Now, you may not be aware of this, and I studied it when I did NLP and hypnosis long time ago. But if you've got a group of children together and you sat them down and said, right, here's a marshmallow on a plate in front of you. If you eat it now, you get the marshmallow. If you don't eat it and leave it for half an hour or so, when we come back in the room, we'll give you an extra marshmallow on top of it. So you get 2 for not touching that one. This is all about your ability to abstain and get your head and your space and the world around you to be conducive to move forward. Now, I think you're going to enjoy this video because it's really funny. But also, it's got a massive lesson which we're going to share with you as soon as it's over. So watch this right now.
Okay, sit in that chair. All right, here's the deal. Marshmallow for you. You can either wait, and I'll give you another one if you wait, or you can eat it now. When I come back, I'll give you another one, so then you'll have 2. But stay in here and stay in the chair till I come back, okay? All right. I'm gonna go do something and then I'll come back.
It smells yummy. It smells really good.
All right, so it's up to you. You can have it now or you can wait. Okay? I'll be back. Stay in the chair, okay? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna leave and then I'll come back, okay? So you can either eat it right now or you can wait. Either way, okay? Okay. How'd you do? Did you do good? You did?
Yeah.
You wanted to eat it, didn't you? Yeah. So did I tell you to give you another one? Okay, now you can have both. You need them.
The test was about your ability to create a reality that empowers you for your future life. So you need to have lots of internal dialogue that works for you. You need to be able to create a roadmap. If I leave it now, I'll work on this now, I'll get something later. You need to have self-control. You need to have faith that you'll get something from the world as a result, and you need to be able to alter your reality. Now, the findings of the people who drew that experiment is they visited those kids later on and found that their ability to not eat a marshmallow at the beginning meant that those same kids who they marked were great at making the reality different all went on to be much more successful by crazy amounts later on in life, because they were able to study, they're able to plan, they're able to save, they're able to wait for better relationships. They're able to use that same mindset to achieve more than all the other people who gobbled stuff right down and went, okay, I couldn't last that long. So that's the lesson. Your ability to deal with your things right now and plan for what comes bigger and to pivot and change your business and use this time, you could be watching Netflix, to do something that's really creative, will be the thing that takes you to be so far up the food chain compared to those that don't when we finally do come out of this pandemic. And what you do next, we're going to share with you on Fast Forward.
You know, what you're saying is so powerful. Yesterday, when I was talking to these people from the newspaper, that they were interested in what we were doing with Fast Forward and with the toilet paper diaries, they wanted me to explain how did we come across the concept and why did we started doing this thing. I said, look, it's very simple. Every single person, doesn't matter how wealthy, how knowledgeable, how powerful they are, we are going through the same thing. I mean, we are starting from the same. This is a unique opportunity in life. Sometimes when you want to actually jump into the world, I mean, there's people that have a big advantage. Right now, everybody's starting from scratch. So the fact that everybody's starting from scratch, if you are wasting time just by watching Netflix and by dwelling on all the sorrow that can be happening in the situation, you're not going to progress. However, if you focus yourself into really working and starting setting up a great foundation for when we come out of this situation, you're going to be miles ahead from other people. I mean, right now, we easily can see that we are positioning ourselves in a perfect way to be able to succeed afterwards. And this is exactly what we're going to be covering in Fast Forward. And that just goes very related to the marshmallows. I mean, right now, okay, we can just either say, well, I'm just going to be wasting my time, or we're going to be working quite a lot in our future. Dave, you and I we have been really busy every single day doing things. So it is amazing. You have a fantastic video that we have shown already earlier. Possibly you can tell them what it is before we finish this show, and we'll see them in Fast Forward tomorrow. Once again, make sure to go to facebook.com/groups/Fast Forward Show so that you can see this secret or private broadcasting.
There's a special gift, and it's a secret special gift, probably the most powerful gift I've ever given to anybody. And I was sharing that with anybody who's with us on tomorrow's show in the Fast Forward Show. It's a hypnosis audio that will change your life, your ability to think about all the things you need in the future, to tap into all the things that you had in the past, and listen to it every day to cure your anxiety, make you feel powerful, and let you realize that you have the ability to come out of this better than you could have even imagined you would be in a year or two's time when you get your act together. I'm not going to say much more than that, but I'll teach you how to hypnotize yourself and a load of other stuff for myself and Ernesto tomorrow. So make sure you connect, make sure you subscribe, share, like it, have a watch party, and we'll see you in the Fast Forward Show tomorrow. Meanwhile, watch this. This will change your life. A brand new year.
My name is Dave Crane. We've never had a time where so many people feel so lonely, so isolated, so helpless, and so scared. Worried about their jobs, worried about their future, worried about their family, worried about their health. That's why I've created this audio. As a hypnotherapist, I've helped many, many people to create success in their business life, in their personal life, and in their emotional stability. Imagine being able to talk to the very best of you in the past, the most successful version of you, and getting them to advise you on how you need to move forward. And being able to talk to the future version of you who's already lived through this and had the success that you could have dreamed of, who's telling you what they did next. This audio is designed to give you both of them as your mentors and to help you create a brand new you. Enjoy, and please share with those who you know need it as well. My name is Dave Crane.
Thanks for watching the show. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you watch all the videos over here. There's two choices for you. Or, of course, I'm Dave Crane coming from Dubai.
And this is Ernesto Verdugo coming from Houston.
And I think we should send a message. Hold on.
What is this?
Subscribe.